Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about your brain, but not in the way you might think. We're going to dive into a Nobel Prize winning secret, the idea that there are two kind of clashing characters inside your head who are calling the shots on pretty much everything you do. So, let's just jump right in with a big question, one that the Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman obsessed over his whole life. It's this: why do really smart people, people like you and me, why do we sometimes make decisions that just seem, well, totally irrational, even when we're trying our best to be logical? Well, the answer, and this is what Kahneman figured out, is that your brain isn't just one single logical mind. Nope. It's actually more like a stage inside your head. And on that stage, you've got two very, very different actors who are constantly wrestling for control. All right, so let's meet the cast, shall we? You can think of these two systems as the ultimate odd couple, both trying to fly the plane that is your brain. Okay, let's break this down. First up, you've got System 1. This is the fast one, the automatic one. It's all about intuition and emotion, kind of like the impulsive hero of the story. And here's the key thing: it is always on. Then you have System 2. This is the slow, deliberate, logical one. Think of it like a lazy detective who really has to be convinced to get out of his chair and do some actual work. So, System 1, it's just pure gut reaction. It's that blink and you miss it part of your brain. It's what makes you duck when a ball comes flying at you, or what makes you automatically finish the phrase salt in, pepper, or how you can just walk into a room and instantly feel that the vibe is off. It takes zero effort, and like we said, it is never, ever off the clock. System 2, though, that's a whole different story. This is your deep thinker. It's the one you have to consciously wake up for the tough stuff. I'm talking about things like trying to figure out 17 times 24 or parallel parking, or even just trying to focus on a boring spreadsheet. This system requires real, actual effort. So how do these two actually work together?
Well, this is where it gets really, really interesting, because it's not exactly a balanced partnership. It's more like one of them is doing all the driving, while the other one is asleep in the passenger seat.
Here's the deal. Almost all the time, your fast-thinking System 1 is the one running the show. It's just constantly spitting out suggestions, feelings, and intuitions. Think of it like it's writing the first draft of every single thought you have, and then it just slides it over to the boss for a quick signature. And this is the crucial part. System 2 is lazy. I mean really lazy. It's what scientists call a cognitive miser. It wants to do as little work as possible. So what does it do? Most of the time, it just gives that first draft from System 1 a quick glance and says, yep, looks good to me, without even checking the facts. And that, right there, is where so many of our mistakes come from. Okay, so because System 1 is all about being fast and saving energy, it loves to take shortcuts. They're called heuristics, which is just a fancy word for a mental rule of thumb. And look, sometimes they're super helpful, but other times, well, they can lead us down some pretty predictable and sometimes really wrong paths. All right, let's put your System 1 to the test. I'm going to ask you a quick question. Don't overthink it, okay? Just go with the very first answer that pops into your head. Which of these is more likely to cause death in the US?
I'm willing to bet that for a lot of you, the phrase shark attack just lit up in your brain, right? And why is that? It's because shark attacks are dramatic. They're vivid. We see them in movies. We hear about them on the news. That image is just so available in our minds. It pops up with absolutely no effort.
But check this out. This is a perfect example of what Kahneman called the availability heuristic. Because in reality, the odds of dying from diabetes complications are like 100,000 times higher. See what our brain does? It makes this huge mistake. It thinks that because something is easy to remember, it must be common. And that's just not true. So this reliance on what feels right leads us to another really weird quirk of our System 1 brain. And this one is all about its very strange and kind of irrational relationship with winning and losing. Okay, get this. Decades of research have shown something pretty wild. Psychologically, the pain you feel from losing, say $50, is about twice as strong as the happiness you feel from finding $50. Let that sink in. We are basically wired to hate losing way more than we love winning. Kahneman had the perfect phrase for this. Losses loom larger than gains. And this bias, which he called loss aversion, explains so much weird human behavior. It's why people will hold onto a stock that's tanking, just hoping it'll bounce back. Or why it's so painful to sell a house for less than what you bought it for. We just hate taking that loss.
And that brings us to maybe the most mind-blowing example of all this. It's a situation where our emotional system 1 totally hijacks our logical system 2. It's called the framing effect. And just wait till you see this.
Okay, put yourself in this situation. Imagine there's a deadly disease on its way. It's predicted to affect 600 people. You're the one in charge of the response, and you have to pick one of two programs to fight it.
All right, here's the first way to frame the choice. It's all about saving lives. Option A is the safe bet. You are guaranteed to save 200 people. Option B is the gamble. You have a 1 in 3 chance of saving all 600, but a 2 in 3 chance of saving no one. Now, when the choice is framed like this as a gain, the vast majority of people, 72%, they choose the sure thing. They save the 200. But now, watch this. We're going to ask the exact same question, but we're just going to change the words. This time, the frame is about people dying. So, option C, 400 people will definitely die. Option D, there's a 2 in 3 chance that 600 people will die, and a 1 in 3 chance no one will die. Look at what happens. The results completely flip on their head. Now, faced with a definite loss, almost 80% of people take the gamble. Now, hang on a second. Just do the math in your head. Saving 200 out of 600 people is the exact same outcome as 400 people dying. The problems are identical, but just by changing the frame from a gain, lives saved, to a loss, people die, we completely reversed our decision. This is huge. It proves we're not these perfectly logical beings. Our choices are shaped by the story, by the feeling that System 1 reacts to. So, where did this leave us? I mean, are we all just doomed to be irrational? No, not at all. The point isn't to try and shut down your System 1. You need that gut instinct. The real goal is to get our lazy System 2 to step up and act more like a director, to actually manage the show that's going on in our heads. So, how do you actually do that? Well, a few things can help. First, just knowing this stuff is half the battle. When you're facing a big decision, the most important thing you can do is just slow down. Wake up that lazy System 2. Don't just go with your first gut reaction. Instead, challenge it. Ask yourself simple questions like, okay, why do I believe this? Or what would someone who disagrees with me say? Or how would I feel if this was framed as a loss instead of a gain? Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about second-guessing every single thing or ignoring your intuition. It's just about being aware that you've got these two different characters in your mind. And once you're aware of them, you get to choose which one gets the final say. So I'll leave you with this question. What's one fast System 1 decision you're going to make a point to slow down and rethink this week?